Now, what is the biggest mistake or thing that you see that makes you cringe in first-time screenplays? Because I'm sure you've read a couple of them in your life.
I think what people think is story and what is actually story are very different things. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people, I think, assume that if something happened to them and they found it interesting or fun or meaningful, and that's not to deny that it isn't interesting or fun or meaningful for them, but it's not necessarily a story that will engage other people. And I think that, there's so many mistakes that you can make along the way that are typical mistakes. I don't even know, like, we still make them, we make them all the time. We're guys that we don't nail anything till like the 10th draft, really. Like, right. we are serial rewriters, and we know we have to be, because for us, the process is a long process. So maybe the biggest mistake a screenwriter can make is showing an early draft to somebody who is in not just an advisory role, but like a decision-making role. It's a huge mistake.
But isn't it the definition of a professional who goes and sits down and does 10 drafts, as opposed to the amateur who will release the second draft saying, we're good. We're good. I think this is 1 year. 1 year. That's all we need. 1 year. Right. It's just 1 year.
It only takes 1 year.
It's just 1 year. Move out to LA, quit graduate school. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. But isn't that truly the definition of a professional? A professional sits there and understands that they have to pound it and tighten and squeeze and chisel, whereas opposed 100%. To leave it out there and just like, it's second draft. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also a big difference between the professional and the non-professional, and one of the biggest mistakes we see people make is there's a certain point in the process where your movie reveals itself, where it starts to be clear. You can tell as you're reading someone's script, I'm on page 65, and okay, I get what this movie is trying to be. I get what this movie is supposed to be. You haven't really delivered on that, but it's clear to me what it's sort of asking to be, what this idea is asking to be. And I think a lot of us, including the two of us, have a tendency to want the movie to be what we want it to be. There's a certain point where you have to sort of give it over to the idea and let the idea be your guide. That's hard to do. But it's also very liberating in a way if you can do it. But a lot of times when you talk to writers about their scripts, they say, well, I wanted this or I wanted that. And, we get that. But at a certain point, it's not about what you want. It's you have an idea, and this is what your idea wants.
It's to be of service to the idea, to the story,
Correct.
As opposed to your ego.
Correct.
Like what I want, and I want to control, which I think writers in general we're control freaks, because we like to control the whole world that we're creating. But in many times, you're right. That idea is that wild horse. You just got to let it go. If you try to hold it in, it's not going to do well for you.
Correct.
And if you're a control freak, screenwriting might not be for you.
I agree with you.
Because you don't control anything. I mean, maybe if you're Steven Soderbergh and you're a writer, director, editor, cinematographer, everything, okay, right. Then you can. But even a director in this business has to count on so many people being creative in the right way to make something great. So it's not a good. I don't think screenwriting is a good career for control freaks. But I think you're right that tons of control freaks become screenwriters.